What up, man? Big news, big news. Some might say it ain't no good big news because a lot of people are saying that this deal is basically the same thing as what Obama did. And I'm starting to head in that direction too as I look over that text of what Donald Trump signed. He finally signed the deal. Like I've been saying, man, all it was a good opportunity to buy some stocks, to pull some day trades. You know what I'm saying? That's really all it really was, man. It was just a big wealth transfer. That's all it was. And because we know Donald Trump, like I say all the time, man, Donald Trump leave clues, and the clues are all he care about is the stock market, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's all he really care about. And it's sad to say that because people lost their lives. And the deal is basically the same thing. And some people would argue that it was even a worse deal than what Obama did because even though the money is Iran's money, you know what I'm saying, for whatever reason why they froze it, but that's another different live on why they froze uh, Iran's assets. Iran have a lot of investments in America, like I say all the time. America is the land of milk and honey. A whole lot of people, a whole lot of countries are invested into the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? And uh, back in the days, hey, what's up, damn media? Back in the days, I think it was President Carter froze the Iranian assets. You know what I'm saying? So the money that Iran is getting, it is their assets, but this deal is basically the same. And some people would argue that the deal is worse than what Obama did, as far as giving up the money, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, all this basically for nothing. People lost lives, gas prices going up, all this stuff really for nothing, and really didn't get no clear understanding as far as what Iran is going to do with this nuclear weapon, making uranium, enriching uranium. You know what I'm saying? It's not really, basically, it's the same thing what they told Obama. Hey, we're not going to make a nuclear weapon. Basically, the same exact thing. I read the plan last night, and it's basically the same thing. The only difference is that Trump is giving more of, let's get it straight. It's not American money. It is Iran's assets that's been frozen since President Carter. So Obama did not see. Trump try to make us think that Obama gave Iran American money. That's not what happened. Obama gave Iran some of their assets that America has on hold. Like when they freeze your assets, that's what the situation is with Iran. President Carter, if I'm not correct, I believe I'm correct though. President Carter, way back when. That's what I've been telling people. This is how long this stuff has been going on with Iran. If I re-explain this, I'll be here forever. But basically, Iran and America was like this. We all know America is the land of milk and honey. So to make a long story short, Iran and all these other countries are invested in America. Real estate, commercial real estate, things like that. Stock market, bonds, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. So America has a lot of, not just Iran, but a lot of different countries, money, assets are inside of these different banks. Well, the American government has the authority to freeze the bank accounts for whatever reason. So President Carter did that way back, probably before I was born. I think the 80s. So these assets have been frozen forever. Because America and Iran were best friends. And then some things happened between the two governments, and all that conflict, and they ended up not being as close as they were back in the 60s and the 70s. the 50s, 60s, and the 70s. So their assets have been frozen for a while. Obama gave them some. I think it was in between 50 and 150 billion, you know, of their assets in the Obama deal. Well, now Trump did the same thing. It might be 300 million, 300 billion, something like that, but I think it's 300 million. Well, in this deal with Trump, he basically gave them double of what Obama did. So a lot of people are in an uproar, right? And I'm kind of like, dang, bro, you know what I'm saying? Basically, you did all this basically for nothing. It's basically the same deal as what Obama did. The only difference is with the Obama deal, nobody died, no war broke out, none of that. You know what I'm saying? So basically, we're going to listen to Zelensky in a few seconds. So basically, I'm going to put up a poll though. I need to know what you think. You know, people that's in the building, do you think that this deal that Trump did is the same as what Obama did? We need to know that. All right. So appreciate y'all for joining me. We got 22 people in the building. Appreciate y'all for coming and rocking with me. We got 19 people on the Conservative OG channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and cut on post notification bells. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are fixing to react to not only Zelensky, because there also was another attack. Ukraine hit Russia with these drones. I think it was the night before last. So we're going to react to that, and then we're going to switch and go back to this 14-point plan and this Trump-Iran deal that got signed. You know, what do y'all think? Do you think it was a good plan, bad plan? Do you think it's the same plan as what Obama did, or do you think it's a better plan? So I appreciate y'all for joining me, chat. Let's go.
President there of Ukraine. Let's lift up the audio and check in to see if this is in English.
We all see that Putin is now relying on one lasting thing: constant missile attacks. And he has ballistic missiles, so we need anti-ballistic capabilities. And we have done a lot to defend against drones, and our interception rate is about 90%. That is a serious, very serious achievement. We are also defending against cruise missiles, but Russian ballistic missiles remain a problem, and we need an answer to that problem. So today, Ukraine and Germany are taking very important, I think, important joint step. We have some technologies, Germany has some technologies, and today our defense ministers signed already an agreement to bring these capabilities together. In Ukraine, we have a company that is capable of producing ballistic missiles. Firepoint is moving toward this. And you have the capable companies as well. We have discussed this many times at the leaders level. There will be meeting at the NSA level. And we have already had meetings at the CEL level. So let us do this for our common defense as quickly as possible. And we invite all countries to contribute to these common efforts as much as possible. Our anti-ballistic coalition, all the countries that are part of it, must demonstrate full capability and deliver real results. Better this year. By this winter, we should already see concrete outcomes from our joint work on anti-ballistic defense. This is something we all need, not only Ukraine, and it is a long-term effort. Please support it at every level and in every possible way. I thank all of you who support our work through the Pearl program. Thanks, Mark, for your personal involvement. Thank you very much. Right now, it is making a real difference alongside all of our bilateral cooperation. Sometimes these delivers make the difference literally day by day. When we know that Russia is preparing a massive strike against Ukraine and we are able to receive Patriot missiles the day before that attack, it helps save lives. So timing matters. And I know that some countries have already prepared decisions on new contributions on Pearl, and I'm very grateful for these. Please, let us implement these decisions as quickly as possible. And we have heard that some countries would like to announce their contributions to Pearl at the summit in Ankara this year, but that is still several weeks away. Let us make these important decisions here at this meeting so that we can deliver the weapons needed for protection. Russia attacks Ukraine day. So please do not postpone, even by a single day, what can be done through Pearl today. And dear friends, you have probably all seen how Russia struck the Kyiv Pечерsk Lavra with drones. And it's one of the most important Christian holy sites, not only in our region, but for the entire Christian world. It was from the Lavra and the hills of Kyiv that Christianity spread eastward across our part of Europe. Attacking such places is, in fact, a crime against humanity. Of course, we are preparing our responses to such Russian attacks. And today you can see one of those responses in the Moscow region this morning. So our long-range sanctions are hitting Russian oil facilities, refineries very, very effectively. And Russia is already facing fuel shortages, and that federal budget revenues are falling significantly. And at the same time, our mid-range strikes are seriously disrupting Russian military logistics. But Putin is not stopping this war. He insists on continuing it, so the pressure must grow. Every project supporting Ukrainian drones and our weapons production in Ukraine, and together, of course, with you, with partners, and every sanctions measure against Russia for this war, all of it must grow. And of course, we are ready to share our experience more actively. Already within our drone deal format, 15 NATO countries and 12 non-NATO countries are involved. These are different regions of the world, and we need to be active everywhere. Let us use today's meeting to discuss at the team level what is needed to speed up this work. Everyone can see that Ukrainians are strong, and I'm grateful to all your service members and to everyone at the political level and to everyone in your defense ministers who treats Ukraine and Ukrainian soldiers with respect. And more than once, I have heard that it is not only Ukraine that needs the support of Europe, and all other countries represented here and in our other coalitions. You also need Ukraine. This is true, and it matters. Everyone is interested in Ukraine's experience, in what we can do, and in how we are holding back Russian aggression. Now, at the military level, we work closely together, but too often, including within NATO structures, our representatives feel that there is a limit to what is possible in our cooperation. These limits both us and you. Let us integrate more at every level of our defense cooperation, in our structures and in the alliance, so that both we and you have more opportunities to protect lives. Please, let us prepare strong decisions and stronger cooperation for the summit in Ankara, so that the political level of our partnership matches reality. People can see that Ukraine is with you, and we should also see that you recognize it. Dear friends, yesterday I raised two urgent issues with Mark, and the first is the number of unmanned ground vehicles. The second is long-range artillery ammunition. Right now, there is not enough of either. We need both urgently. The funding being allocated for this is not enough. The quantities Europe is producing are not enough. What the Ukrainian army is receiving is not enough, but we can increase all of these, the capacity there. Right now, Russia is paying for continuing this war with losses of at least 30,000 soldiers every month on the front line, killed and seriously wounded. And this number will grow as we improve our ability to stop Russian attacks. All types of drones are showing strong results, and our infantry and other units are fighting effectively and bravely. And it is important to keep supporting this. Today, the Ukrainian army is effectively the main army in Europe that can deter and resist large-scale aggression over a long period of time. And after this war, this must remain the case. The existence of such an army should help prevent any future aggressive moves by Putin. That is why we need to start thinking now about how to provide the funding the Ukrainian army will need in the years ahead. I thank the European Union for the 90 billion euro support package, which will help a lot, it's true. And I also thank all of you for your bilateral support decisions, but also ask you to develop the necessary financial instruments for the years ahead to ensure the Ukrainian army remains strong enough. This would make European defense much stronger, and it would benefit all of you. If we want Europe to have the strongest army, one that can truly respond to any threat, this is only possible with long-term cooperation with Ukraine and long-term support for the Ukrainian army. This is a realistic new security architecture for us, for Europe. Let us start thinking about this now. Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much for your huge support from me, from our people, from our soldiers. Slava Ukraini. Thank you.
What's up, chat? So that's Zelensky. It's still a war going on. That's still going on with Russia and Ukraine. You see, trying to figure out where I'm gonna go over here. Appreciate y'all for coming through, rocking with me, chat. If you on Rumble, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you watching from, appreciate you. Okay. Now we're gonna go over here. Hold on, chat. Make sure you go vote. If you're on the Freedom of Speech channel, I got a poll up. Is this plan that is this plan that Trump signed yesterday, is it basically the same thing as what Obama did?
Well, a couple of hours earlier, we were inside the resort and we met some of the delegations who've started arriving, the Americans here, the Qataris here. There is some representation of the Swiss, who are the facilitators, but we're still waiting for the Iranians to arrive. The Pakistanis are on the way as well. It is going to be high-stakes diplomacy here in Switzerland. On my right shoulder, you can actually see the resort, the main building where these talks are going to be held. It's an interesting venue, as you mentioned, secrecy, away from the prying eyes of the public, owned by the Qataris. It's not the first time this is being used for high-stakes diplomacy. It's also been used earlier for Russia-Ukraine talks as well. So it is a place where people can mingle freely. They'd be able to talk to each other. As we've seen this way of diplomacy before, the Qataris have been holding multiple rounds of talks with various parties. We've seen that in Qatar as well, when they held the talks between the Americans and the Afghan Taliban, and then intra-Afghan talks where the Taliban and the then Afghan government were there as well. So they're used to this. They've now championed this, and they're going to be in the driving seat to take things forward. Earlier in the day, we saw after the signing by the Americans and the Iranians, this morning it was also signed by the Pakistani Prime Minister as well, who is part of the mediating team. So there's a lot to thrash out here. There's a 60-day window in which they'll have to figure out what to do with the Strait of Hormuz, how to make sure that Iran complies with the nuclear program, that whatever agreement they come up with, how will those $300 billion in funds they're going to be released, and much more. And this 60-day period is also extendable if both sides agree.
James, I beg your pardon, Osama, you're staying with us. I'll come back to you in a moment. James Bays, our diplomatic editor, is with us. James, you've actually covered negotiations that have taken place at the Bergenstock Resort before. They've been used pretty much in this capacity only a couple of years ago and a few times over the last decades. This is ideal for this kind of venue.
Yeah, I was up there 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago. There was a big meeting on peace in Ukraine with Ukraine's supporter nations. But they've also used it back in just 2002 when Sudan was one country and they were negotiating between the people who wanted to be South Sudan. They had negotiations there. They will have Cyprus negotiations. One of the advantages is its location. It's on the top of the mountain. So that gives you security. It also gives you the ability to control access, because I've covered quite a lot of diplomatic events over the years in Switzerland, and the Swiss have been doing diplomacy for years, but diplomacy with the prying eyes of the media and 24/7 coverage is slightly different. I remember early talks on Iran, for example, in 2013. They were in the Intercontinental Hotel in the centre of Geneva. Well, guess what us reporters did? We sat in the coffee shop all day long buying coffees so we could bother people as they were coming in to try and find out what's going on. Here, that's not happening. They're only going to let the press in that they want to have in the area. And the security is important because we don't know who the delegations are, but clearly it's been widely flagged. One of those who might be attending is the US Vice President, J.D. Vance. And the security for him, you'd think he's the Vice President, not the President, but it's pretty similar.
By the way, Donald Trump hasn't even ruled out. We don't expect him at this point, but he hasn't actually ruled out attending himself. Osama bin Javed, back to you. Do you know who is going to be leading the delegations for each side, and even when they might arrive, when they're expected?
Well, we're expecting arrivals later tonight or early tomorrow morning. I've been speaking to various delegates in various capitals. I've been told that we are expecting the Qatari Prime Minister to be here from Qatar, the Pakistani Prime Minister and his entourage to be here from Islamabad. We're expecting, as James just mentioned, J.D. Vance, the US Vice President, and on the Iranian side, the top negotiator, Bakr Ghalibaf, alongside the Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi. But it is all things that we've spoken to sources who've said that might be happening. We still do not have confirmation of their arrivals and times, but it appears that the stage is set. I've been here in the last few hours looking at security. There was a few minutes ago a helicopter doing a sweep of the area up and down these mountain roads. We are seeing military police from the Swiss government doing the round. So it appears that high stakes diplomacy requires high level security, and that is what is being provided. And that is why it is going to be interesting to see who actually makes it, how do these talks commence, and what happens on the day after. Remember, this is not just a ceremonial signing ceremony, because the documents have already been signed on Sunday between the Vice President, US Vice President and Bakr Ghalibaf, and just last night between the US and the Iranian President. So it's not just a ceremony, it is the official kickoff of the 59 days remaining now for these sides to come to a conclusion, because this is a memorandum of understanding which needs to translate into a deal with all sides agreeing to it and abiding by it, which is not just between the United States and Iran, and also includes regional players, including the Gulf, which felt left out during the JCPOA talks.
James Bays, Osama just pointed out that there are 59 days left to reach a final settlement. Now, yes, this could be extended, but the point is that we're already at the beginning of what is supposed to be a 60-day period of talks. Do we know, or can we make any educated guesses about the process of these talks, about who's going to be talking to who and how it'll work?
an extendable 60 days, I would suspect, is how it's going to work, because the chances of getting these
think this is not wrapped up within 2 months?
Well, they will put a timetable on it, but they do not, I think, probably think that they will necessarily achieve that because of the sort of issues we're dealing with. These are very, very technical issues. So almost certainly there'll be two tracks. There'll be the big players who meet from time to time, and I don't think you're going to get J.D. Vance coming here every single time, but you will probably get Steve Witkoff and others who are coming here from the US. But it's interesting, last time there were long nuclear negotiations involving the US. Yes, they had all of these people who were diplomats, the Department of State, but they also had lots of people at the Department of Energy. The nuclear part of this, you need experts. We are literally not only dealing with diplomacy, we're also dealing with nuclear physics here.
James Bays, Al Jazeera's diplomatic editor, thank you very much. Osama bin Javaid at the Bergenstock Resort, thanks to you as well. So what are we talking about here in terms of the contents of the deal? The final deal, as we've explained, doesn't yet exist. That is the whole point of these next 2 months. However, a pre-deal, or what's officially known and referred to as a memorandum of understanding, that already exists. And there's quite a bit in this MOU, as it's often referred to. Let's look at this. The U.S., Iran, and their allies have to stop military operations on all fronts, including in Lebanon. The U.S. and regional partners will develop a $300 billion fund for the reconstruction and economic development of Iran. All U.S. sanctions imposed on Iran may be removed as part of the final deal, and Iranian financial assets will be unfrozen. That is something that should be happening now under the terms of this MOU. Also, under the terms of the MOU, the Strait of Hormuz will reopen to all commercial vessels. We'll go and check what's happening in Hormuz in just a moment. The U.S. will end its naval blockade on Iranian ports. That is supposed to have begun, and Iran agrees that it will not build or buy or procure nuclear weapons. Both sides have also agreed to resolve the disposal of highly enriched uranium. So, as I said, quite a bit that's already in this pre-deal. But how does each side, how do the U.S. and Iran intend to guarantee compliance with the 14 points in this MOU? Well, Iran would like all of this to be monitored and then enshrined in international law in a binding UN Security Council resolution. The U.S. has a very different approach in mind. Listen to the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
The President has pointed out that we will be prepared to recommence if, underneath the timeline of these talks, Iran does not do what it says it's going to do, just give up nuclear weapons, give up nuclear ambitions, give away their nuclear material, close nuclear facilities, then the War Department is here and prepared to restart if we need to. We'd prefer not to, but we are prepared and postured to.
Al Jazeera's chief U.S. correspondent Alan Fisher is at the White House. Al Jazeera's Tawhid Asadi is monitoring developments in and around the Strait of Hormuz. He's in Bandar Abbas, as we said. That's Iran's south coast. Alan, starting with you, how can the U.S. actually ensure compliance, ensure that Iran will hold up its end of the bargain?
Well, the intention from the United States, according to the Memorandum of Understanding, is to do what the Iranians want to do, which is take this to the United Nations, and then it would be enshrined in a resolution there. But you've heard from Donald Trump. He mentioned it when he was in France on Wednesday, that he will rain bombs down on Iran's head if he doesn't think they're serious in talks. And that's just been reiterated by Pete Hegseth. So there is this uncertainty hanging around the talks. And certainly, Tawhid may explain this better from Iran, but the Iranians have been worried that twice they've been involved in negotiations with the United States recently, and twice the United States has taken military action. They will be preparing for that option. But clearly it's not off the table from Donald Trump. He would like to see a deal. He's keen to do a deal. He says the Iranians are keen to do a deal, and it took long enough to draw up the Memorandum of Understanding. And certainly Trump supporters here in the United States believe that it's a start to get a deal. It will take 60 days of talks. What is interesting is that Donald Trump's public schedule has just been released for today. There's no sign that he's going to be heading back to Europe so quickly. But what we will hear from, who we will hear from, is J.D. Vance, the Vice President. He will be in the briefing room in a couple of hours, and you can bet that most of the questions will be about Iran and the discussions that are due to get underway in Switzerland.
Tawhid Asadi, you're in Bandar Abbas. Reopening the Strait of Hormuz to maritime traffic, mainly commercial maritime traffic, is a key part of this memorandum of understanding and is supposed to be a key part of the final deal going forward. What is actually happening in Hormuz right now?
Well, actually, let me pick up on what Alan earlier mentioned, the cloud of mistrust that is out there in Iran pertaining to any rapprochement towards the United States. But speaking of the situation here at the Strait of Hormuz, I think it's not a bad idea to give a mention to what happened in a local restaurant where I was for a lunch. And some people came, they were extremely happy about the new situation. And that is the public mood here in the vicinity of the Strait of Hormuz for many Iranians who were hopeful for this strait to be reopened, seeing the impact on local economies. But in addition to that, it goes without saying that when it comes to the global economy and the energy market at large, the impact is quite tangible as we witness the fluctuations when it comes to the oil prices. But speaking of the very situation here, we are expecting, following the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding by the Iranian president and the American president, what we are expecting basically is the reopening of the strait. But we know that it's not going to happen all of a sudden out of the blue, and it's going to take some time and it's going to be gradual. But it's still, if we look at the rhetoric that we witness from the Iranian side, it is that of seriousness. And there are so many indications showing that Iranians are quite steadfast to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. But it's still, they are talking about the new regime, the new management, a new level of authority over the Strait of Hormuz, while we know that the truth of the matter on the ground is that there are too many ships and vessels being stranded here at the Strait of Hormuz. And I'm going to step aside so that Hamid can kindly show us. This is quite close to the Iranian territories, and you can see this is a local warfare, and then around that you can see a lot of ships and vessels, most of them belonging to the Iranians. But the more you move towards the strait, you can see more and more vessels and ships and oil tankers being stranded in the strait. And let me remind you, prior to the initiation of the war, we've got around 100 to 130 number, as of course the estimated average number of 100 to 130 ships and vessels transiting through this geostrategically significant choke point. And all of a sudden, following the initiation of the war, we witnessed a pause, a huge pause. Iran is saying that it's trying its best to return the traffic situation back to the time before the initiation of the war. Meanwhile, they're saying that the new system, the new management is not going to be the same again. They are talking about, first they were talking about fees, transit fees and other source of fees, and now they are talking about service fees, service charges. We know that, at least from what we can hear, they don't have any plan to charge ships and vessels for this limited period of 60 days. But later on, they're saying that there is going to be a new mechanism coordinated with the Omani side in which there is a possibility for charges to be implemented.
Alan Fisher at the White House. During this 60-day interim period, well, 59 days now, during this interim period, before a final deal
is not really a deal
between the U.S. and Iran,
it's just an
what
agreement.
Does the U.S. get out of this?
Of understanding that we're going to continue.
Well, Donald Trump has made it clear on social media just in the last hour or so. He said that those who think he's made a weak deal, a bad deal with Iran, need to look at the stock market, that it's hit record highs, that oil prices are on the way down. And he says that anyone objects to this deal are either jealous, bad, or stupid people. So Donald Trump believes that it's the economic argument that wins here, and he made it when he was in France on Thursday as well. He didn't want to be
my opinion,
the president
who wins on this deal.
The great crash in 1929. He wanted to do something that helped the economy, and certainly there are supporters of Donald Trump who are very appreciative of what he's done. That he was in a war that was dragging on, was hitting everything in the US economy. Inflation was up, oil prices were up. Donald Trump himself has said it. It's like a tax on everything else. And people were struggling day to day.
Well, let me take that back.
He took an action which brought this war to an end, which he believes will provide a wall to Iran getting to a nuclear weapon. And so many of his supporters say it was the right thing to do. Now, they'll argue about whether or not they should actually have got involved in the war in the first place.
Like I said before, all this was a wealth transfer with the investors. That's all it was. Which is what's so crazy about it is that a lot of people suffering from this little transfer, you know, because gas prices go, everything went up. And most people, 50%, probably more than that, of Americans don't even invest in the stock market. So half of the country, more than half of the country, the world, because of this straits and all this traffic and all this buildup, the world suffered. The world suffered. So even though I am a stock trader, you know, I feel kind of bad because a lot of people don't trade stocks. Most people don't invest. So a lot of people are suffering right now behind this stupid decision just to find out that it's just all it is just an agreement to keep negotiating while y'all still get money. Because in this agreement, look at that, $300 billion to rebuild Iran. Iran totally wins, chat. Iran totally wins on this deal. Iran and the stock investors. But the average people in the world, like I said, 50 or 60%, probably even more, if you add everybody around the world, lost, not including the soldiers, you know, because chat, soldiers died. I think 13 and a lot more was injured. So in my opinion, all this was for nothing. We back to square one. All this war, all this stuff basically was for nothing. It sucks. It sucks. There's still no real deal on the table, Chad. Iran could possibly get more than the $300 billion on the final deal. Iran has all the juice right now. All the juice. Iran has all the juice. Trump could have just kept the same. I know why he didn't, though. You know what I'm saying? The reason why he didn't is because the wealth transfer. They're trying to get so wealthy. That's what it's all about. I've been saying that for months. Every day, Trump come on and talk about the stock market, talk about the stock market, talk about the stock market, talk about the stock market. It all was a big asset grab. I ain't gonna even say money grab because it's bigger than that. It all was a big asset grab. And guess what? It's still not over. Why you say that stock's not? But because there is no deal done. It is an agreement to keep negotiating. That's all it is.
But he said coming to an end, bringing it to an end for the reasons that he did was the right thing to do. And this proves in their eyes that Donald Trump is indeed an American first president.
Toher Sadi, same question on your side. What does Iran get out of this memorandum of understanding? You know, in the absence of a final deal, in this interim period, what does Iran get?
Well, first and foremost, let's just remember that we're talking about not a final deal, but a memorandum of understanding. So basically, we are dealing with a past-dependent dynamism, and Iran is closely following that trajectory of diplomacy to gain the most out of this engagement while, as I mentioned earlier, we're dealing with a mistrust here. First, the other day, we've got the spokesperson for the army saying that they are ready to return to the situation before the memorandum of understanding in case the other side does not fulfill its commitments. So that is a key word, whether or not the Americans are going to fulfill their commitments. And also we know that Iran, in a sense, needed this period as a sort of relief, or whatever you call it, in a situation of high tensions for a very long period of time. And also we know that Iran needs it when it comes to the economic situation of the country for those frozen assets to be.
But let's get this clear. That 300 billion is not American, it's not taxpayer money. We got to understand that. The 300 billion is not taxpayer money, and also the money that Obama gave them during his administration was not taxpayer money. America is holding a lot of assets, a lot of Iran assets. So all they're doing is giving Iran bits and pieces of what is already Iran's anyway. So let's get that understanding. That 300 billion is not taxpayer money. It's not. It is Iranian assets that America had, America frozen, and those assets have been frozen since the Carter presidency. That's the thing about those assets. And those assets are investments, but the thing is, Iran ain't tripping no way. Why? Because those assets are doing what? Are gaining interest through investments. You know what I'm saying? So, in other words, all it's doing, Iran got money, man. Iran is very, very wealthy, Chad. Very, very wealthy. But the thing is, America has their assets frozen. In other words, America is the one holding it and giving it to them bits and piece by piece. Why? It continues to build interest. Got to understand that. America is holding Iranian assets, but it's still drawing interest, and it is frozen, so they can't get all of it. But they not even really tripping, because they understand what I say all the time. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. But America has control over those assets. Iran is very, very wealthy. Straight up, Chad. Because not only does America have some of Iran assets, China has some of Iran assets. All the big players, all the big countries, the big ballers, the big shot callers in the world, all have, Iran has an investment in all those countries. So understand, they're going to be saying Trump gave Iran America money. Oh, like they said about Obama. Obama gave Iran taxpayer money. That's not true. This money that Obama gave Iran and Trump, it is Iran's money. It belongs to them. We got to understand that. The money is Iran's money. But for whatever reason, the money, the assets have been frozen for decades. It's been frozen. We got to understand that. All right, let's continue.
released, and that is part and parcel of the deal. They're saying that between 5.6 to 25.6 billion dollars are set to be gradually released, and we have to also keep in mind that we are talking about over 100 billion US dollars as frozen assets of the country in different international accounts, and the removal of sanctions, the primary and secondary sanctions that the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was talking about, is also critically important for the Iranians. All in all, we know that this is just a very first step, but a very first important step. But we are also waiting to see whether or not for the remaining sticking points, such as the nuclear dossier in particular, the stockpile of highly enriched uranium and other controversies, the two sides can sit down and resolve all these controversies within the trajectory of diplomacy, or it would be another round of escalation.
Al Jazeera's Tawhid Asadi reporting from Bandar Abbas along Iran's south coast on the Strait of Hormuz, which of course has been central to how this war has unfolded. Thank you very much, Tawhid, for your reporting. Let's look at the cost of war. Now, since March 28th, when the U.S. and Israel launched this war against Iran, there has been significant damage across the region. There's Iran, of course, which has seen much of its military targets and infrastructure, civilian infrastructure as well, damaged and destroyed. Donald Trump yesterday, the U.S. president, estimating that Iran may have sustained up to $1 trillion worth, and maybe more, of damage during this war. There are Gulf countries, there's Israel, and then there's Lebanon, which has sustained also a lot of damage. Al Jazeera's Zaina Khodr reports, remember that the south of the country, more than 1.2 million people in southern Lebanon have had to move. Remember also the sustained damage in the capital, specifically in the suburbs of Dahiyeh. Here's Zaina Khodr's story.
This is what Israel's intense bombing campaign did to southern Lebanon. That's now stopped. The violence has not, despite the U.S.-Iran deal that included a ceasefire here. Israeli forces are trying to infiltrate deeper into Lebanese territory. Hezbollah has targeted them, killing and wounding soldiers. The group has made clear it won't hold fire after the last truce in 2024, when Hezbollah refrained from responding to near daily Israeli strikes. Israel controls territory in Lebanon along the border, and it is under pressure by the U.S. not to sabotage the deal. But Israel was not a party to the agreement and has said it won't withdraw. Hezbollah believes it will. It has called the U.S.-Iran deal a great victory.
The ceiling for negotiations with the Israeli enemy is mutual security. There is no other option. Any proposal under the banner of disarmament will not pass. This is something we discuss internally. In any negotiation, the main demand must be the restoration of Lebanon's sovereignty.
Lebanon's government has made the same demand as it engages in U.S.-sponsored negotiations with Israel. It is preparing for a new round of talks, but previous rounds failed to achieve a full ceasefire and an Israeli withdrawal.
Today, the national interest requires an end to military adventurism, support for state institutions, and the handover of Hezbollah's weapons to the state.
Iran's push for a Lebanon ceasefire and its demands for Israeli withdrawal have put the government in a difficult position, especially after it outlawed Hezbollah's military activities. Hezbollah believes that tying the Lebanon front to regional negotiations guarantees its survival in Lebanon. Hezbollah has rejected direct negotiations between Lebanon and Israel as they are pushing to disarm it. It is also rejecting the so-called pilot zones that the government agreed to as part of those U.S.-sponsored talks. The zones call on Hezbollah to pull out from the south. All the while, the people who are returning to their homes in southern Lebanon are making use of the lull in fighting. It's allowing them, at the least, to bring their dead back home. Zaina Khodr, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
Now, currently, Israel occupies about 20% of Lebanon's territory. Well, the Israeli military has just released a map showing...
This is what I think going to happen, Chad. I think, because you also know Iran and Lebanon is all a part of that. I believe that part of the deal is going to get violated. That's my opinion. That Israel-Lebanon part of the deal going to get violated, and it's going to start back all over. Let's see if I'm right, Chad. That's what I'm thinking. Israel and Iran and Lebanon, that conflict right there is going to violate this. Let's say it's not an agreement, it's an understanding. That's going to violate the paper. And then it's going to start all over again. That's what I think is going to happen, Chad. That's what I think going to happen. Let's go back.
The areas where its troops are currently operating there.
I hope
Al
I'm
Jazeera's
wrong.
Nida Ibrahim reports from Ramallah in the occupied West
But
Bank.
I think that's going to happen. All right, let's go.
They
Now we're talking
have
about...
just published a map of where the Israeli army is positioned and operating. These were the Israeli army's terms, the areas that they're operating in southern Lebanon. These areas include the Beaufort Castle and its surrounding, which is a place that the Israelis have pushed deeper into and occupied the castle in late May, publishing pictures and showing their flags on the castle. And that was during what we know to be as the fragile ceasefire that Israel has understood to mean that they can still operate in southern Lebanon, that Israel still indeed tried to break several times by hitting targets in Beirut's southern suburb. This is yet another example of how Israel is trying to de-link the two fronts, despite the deal saying that the war would stop on all fronts, despite the American president basically rebuking Netanyahu and saying he should not have struck Beirut's southern suburb. This also comes as a way that the Israelis are trying to calm down their audience domestically by showing that they are still operating in southern Lebanon and that they are still negotiating, according to certain reports by officials close to Netanyahu, telling Israeli media that they are still holding tough negotiations with the Americans to ensure that their troops are staying in southern Lebanon.
All right, Dan Perry joins us live now from Tel Aviv. Dan is the former chief of the Associated Press in Europe, Africa, and Middle East. Thank you. It's good to have you on the program, Dan. Look, the language of the Memorandum of Understanding is such that, according to this MOU, Israel is not supposed to be in southern Lebanon, much less be fighting in southern Lebanon. Do you think the Israeli military will respect this?
Depends on the amount of pressure that the Americans are prepared to bring to bear. And I suppose because we see Trump responding to Iranian pressure, it therefore depends on how much Iran is going to insist and use this as leverage during the negotiation. I have trouble seeing Israel pulling out of the buffer zone in southern Lebanon without really having Trump putting the hammer down. As long as Hezbollah remains armed and potentially a threat for cross-border incursion. That's the very reason why they are in South Lebanon. And in general, from Israel's perspective, there's a lot of concern because this is viewed as a capitulation that basically casts aside all of the war goals of Israel and America both, throwing not just Israel under the bus, but also Lebanon, which is aligned with Israel in its desire to see Hezbollah disarmed.
Most knuckle. Bibi has got videos of Trump.
And can Benjamin Netanyahu enforce this? You said it depends on how much pressure Donald Trump will put on Israel. But the Israeli Prime Minister, of course, is Benjamin Netanyahu. He has made no secret of the fact that he intended to remain in southern Lebanon, but now he might get an edict from the U.S. president. The U.S. president has signed this deal with Iran. It's right here in
Moose Knuckle, let me know what you think. You think that Israel is going to continue to attack Lebanon and violate this agreement? Let me know, Moose Knuckle, what you think about the situation, bro. What do you think about the situation? Do you think Israel is going to be the one and Iran are going to be the ones that mess up this agreement? And then it starts the process all over again. Do you think Bibi will listen to Trump and step back? Because that's part of the agreement. Let me know what you think, Moose Knuckle Trump. What you think?
writing that Israel isn't supposed to fight and that Lebanon's territorial integrity is to be respected. That would mean, right, if we look at those words, that would mean withdrawing from southern Lebanon, something Netanyahu said he wouldn't do. If he now decides to go ahead with this deal because the U.S. president has essentially told him to, can he enforce that?
Of course he can enforce it. He can order the army out and the army would pull out, but it would be politically devastating for him from every direction. He's supposedly a right-wing prime minister. His base doesn't want this, but even the left doesn't want it. The center doesn't want it, and I would dare say the Israeli Arabs don't want it. It's conceivable parts of Lebanon don't want it. So he faces elections in a couple of months, and he'll be in a quandary, as you suggest. Capitulation would make him look bad. Non-capitulation, if the U.S. is insisting enough, would be impossible at the end of the day. Such are the wages of putting all your eggs in a basket of Trump, who many people told Netanyahu is not a true friend, definitely not a loyal ally of Israel or of anyone else. And when his interests point in a different direction, he's going to do what he's going to do, and he's going to be untruthful about the actual reasons and the consequences. And Netanyahu is paying the piper now for his over-tight alliance with Trump after he alienated the Europeans, alienated the U.S. Democrats, and more. It's a difficult situation for Israel. But to your question, can he enforce a pullout? Of course he can. It'll be very unpopular in Israel, and we'll have to see then if there's any mechanism for the Lebanese armed forces to actually take over the border area and prevent Hezbollah from returning and once again threatening Israel. But the bigger issue is disarming Hezbollah, because Hezbollah is way to the north of Lebanon now in the Bekaa Valley. Israel's not going to march up there. Hilariously, Trump is now musing about Syria taking care of Hezbollah. That would be tough for Lebanon. That has not forgotten the Syrian occupation of much of their country that ended only 20 years ago. So I kind of think Lebanon is going to face a very difficult choice of going to the UN Security Council and asking for assistance from an international force. I don't see what else can happen.
A question on domestic politics. How does this impact Netanyahu's personal political future? Because he is running for re-election. They're just around the corner in the next few months. He had styled himself as Mr. Security for many years now, and he is likely to be bound by this deal, as we've said. So how's that going to work out for him when he presents his track record to voters?
Very badly. Netanyahu's in a terrible political position. The Mr. Security title that you ascribed to him was always a little bit farcical. It previously applied to Ariel Sharon and Yitzhak Rabin a little more plausibly. But yeah, Netanyahu had largely kept the peace with various cycles of violence in Gaza against Hamas, which people understand. But I mean, currently he's basically bet on a 3-year forever war, pretty much, that hasn't achieved its aims. That's weakened Hezbollah, weakened Hamas, and I suppose until this war weakened the regime in Iran, but it hasn't destroyed any of them. And, you know, his main selling point to voters is less Mr. Security than Mr. America. His positioning has been that of a brilliant orator in perfect American English who knows how to manipulate the American system and will ensure that America is by Israel's side. Now he's not only lost, as I say, the U.S. Democrats, and it may be difficult for Israel should they return to power, but Trump has done something that no American president ever did. Israel always had a certain degree of strategic dependency on the United States, but Democratic presidents and Republican presidents were respectful, at least in public. And here we have Trump presenting Netanyahu as a puppet, and cursing him out and saying he'll do whatever I want him to do, and presenting Israel as a country with no agency. It is disgraceful, and Netanyahu has now signed on to that blow. I see grim tidings ahead for Netanyahu in the October election, where already, even before the war, he was down by what translates into about 15% of the vote. It'll be difficult to envision how he reverses that when pretty much 100% of the people in Israel view this as a setback, because the regime has been strengthened. It's been strengthened because Israel and the U.S. entered this war without a plan for the inevitable closing of the Strait of Hormuz, which handed the Iranians the possibility of blackmailing the world into a $300 billion slush fund and an unfreezing of all assets and an ending of all sanctions, which is what's promised if the 60 days ends successfully, something the Obama JCPOA never did. And if you read the speech that Trump gave in May 2018 when he pulled out of the JCPOA very idiotically. You look at the reasons for it. It has to do with how he gave Iran some money. He's giving Iran manifold times more money, and how he didn't handle the proxy terrorist network or the missiles, which at this point no one's even talking about. Never mind the complete betrayal of the Iranian people, who Trump promised that he would send help that's on its way, who he told on the first day of the war they'd get their country back. Instead of them getting their country back, the regime is getting hundreds of billions of dollars back, badly demoralizing the opposition and suppressing the hopes for a better dawn all over the Middle East.
Dan Perry, former chief of Associated Press in Europe, Africa, and Middle East. Thank you very much for joining us from Tel Aviv this hour. Thank you. Bringing in now Paul Musgrave, Associate Professor of Government Studies at Georgetown University in Qatar.
I ain't got it. That's it. All right, let's see what's going on in New York, Chad. If you don't know, they have a big parade in New York. The New York Knicks, as we change the subject. The New York Knicks won the NBA championship. If you didn't know, if you've been sleeping up under a rock, or if you've been, doing other things. Look at this parade today, Chad. We do know that the city just about got tore up the night they won. I mean, they went crazy out there in New York. Let's see what's happening right now today. Just for a quick second, you know what I'm saying? Because, I'm kind of interested in, sports and stuff like that. Shout out to everybody from New York. Shout out to the Knicks. Shout out to San Antonio. It was a great series. Let's continue.
We got the Juice Chants. Those were pretty cool to see them, hear them in person.
Hey, what's up, ATM?
Just keeping an eye out to see. And here comes the trophy with Rick Brunson is carrying it with Mariska Hargitay. I wish we could break off here. And there is Stefan Marbury as well. Coach Brunson, congrats. Steph Marbury. All right. He's a friend of Fox 5. He couldn't hear me. It is really loud over here. So I don't know if we could bring the camera closer, but we're just trying to get a shot of everybody kind of walking in. We've got more of the players here. Hey, guys, congratulations. Here comes Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet's a photographer. He's got his camera with him. He takes photos at the U.S. Open, by the way. He's been known to do that. It's hard to see. This is like the parade before the parade. They're going to their floats. We've got some great views. Let's see. I think I've got Jordan Clarkson coming on down. And there's Timothy Chalamet and Tim. I'm not sure if we're getting these shots, but this is wild. This is something a little bit different than we have seen. And we've got Jordan Clarkson right over there. Jordan. Hey, Monica. And here comes Jose Alvarado. Can you come closer? Here, Jose. Here we got the most New York Knick right there. Jose Alvarado. Born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens. Christ the King.
Chad, I don't think that was the right question to ask. Is Trump deal same as Obama deal? I'm finna change that. I'm finna change that right now. Yeah, that wasn't the right question. Let me change that. Let me go over here, Chad. What's up, Chad? Appreciate y'all for joining me. Yeah, I'm about to change that. That wasn't the right question. Yeah, I'm about to change it. Let me end the poll. Appreciate y'all for voting. We got 6 votes. Is Trump deal same as Obama deal? 33% say yes, 67% say no. I'm about to change that to a different one. I think this is a better question right here. Is Trump deal worse than Obama deal? That's a better question. Yeah, that's a better question right there. Is the Trump deal, let me see, did it pop up? Yeah, is it worse? So if you're just not coming into the chat, I need to know what y'all think. Is this Trump deal worse than that Obama deal? If you know about the two deals, don't just vote out of, because you rock with Trump or you rock with Obama. If you really and truly know both deals on what happened, please vote. Is the Trump deal worse than the Obama deal? Please go vote. Let's continue. Let me go back over here while we watch a little bit of the Knicks parade. Shout out to the New York Knicks. Shout out to everybody from New York.
High school, we know his whole story, and his return to New York is unbelievable. Let's see who else we have coming down the pathway here. This is like the canyon before the canyon. Oh my gosh, Andy's one of the trainers. You kept the guys healthy.
Did my best. Best to work with.
Andy's a long-time athletic trainer. He's actually from England, worked in the Premier League, and he has been with the team for many years. So it was great to see how healthy this team was when it came down to the finals. I mean, we had players having surgery. Mitchell Robinson broke his 5th metacarpal. He played. He contributed to these wins. So it's just amazing to see the whole staff and the whole army it takes to put a championship team together. Let's see who else is coming down here. So we have reports that Mitchell Robinson and Kat were already on their float, so we might not see them unless they're made their way back around. I see a couple other tall people. Oh, there's the bag. There's Jordan Woods. She had the orange bag with her. Oh, I missed that. Who else do we have coming down here? So these are the families. These are the families of the players, families of the coaches and staff, extended families, parents, wives, kids, you name it. All of them coming here to get on their float.
Please come in and vote, chat.
All right.
I need to know what y'all
let's
think.
see. Who else do we have?
Trump deal worse than Obama
It's got a
deal.
little quiet in my spot here. Hopefully you guys have some shots of the floats and everybody boarding the floats, which is just about 100 yards past me.
Once we get to 10 votes,
and it's gotten a little quiet again. I see some kids with jerseys on.
Give my opinion.
What is your name? Would you want to come on TV here for a second?
What's your name?
Daniel, what do you think of seeing the players up close?
Please go vote.
You just not come to the channel.
If you know about the two deals,
and Jose Alvarado.
Don't vote because you like Trump or because you like Obama or whatever.
Lifetime opportunity.
Vote because you really
It's
know.
a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Go ahead, go enjoy. Keep on taking a look at everyone walking through.
About these
how
two
sweet some of these kids are that they realize how unique this is. We have some people from the corrections facility here. I wonder if they could we see your sign real quick? This is awesome. You guys will be holding that. You'll be marching. Really happening. Am I allowed to get your name?
Once we get to 10 votes, I'm going to say what I think.
With the corrections.
My opinion.
Yes. Yeah, they're lining up after some of the marching bands. So let's get back. Let's see who else is coming on the street here. Carl Sr. So this is Carltown Sr. and Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart up for nothing. Martha! Carltown Sr. So again, we're seeing family. We saw Martha Stewart. Oh, we're just getting our shot. Sorry. Who else do we have here? And there is Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges has got his own camera. They're documenting their own experience. We're seeing some more selfie sticks here.
While we watching this chat,
so Kurt Thomas. I got to cover Kurt Thomas with the 2012,
come give us more
2013
information about the Iran conflict. waiting on JD
So I guess
Vance
they're
to come
kind of
speak.
parading. So I couldn't get Kurt to come
Hopefully
over.
he's not as late as Trump.
And there's Larry, LJ. Look at these three. You guys.
We got 2 votes so far.
Spree, Larry, LJ.
You just not coming to the channel. Please vote. Give your honest opinion. Is Trump deal worse than Obama deal? Please vote. Once we get to 10, I will then say what my opinion.
And Edie Falco, Edie.
Once we get to 10 votes.
And Steve Sharif, we got away from Edie Falco. Chris Rock. I mean, so it is the parade of celebrities, parade of champions, and here goes Allen Houston and his whole family. All Houston family. These are all Allen Houston's children. And here comes Carl Anthony Towns. Carl and the trophy. Let's see if we get Cat over here.
They're going crazy out there in New York, Chad.
We're just far enough away where it's hard for them to hear me. Oh, I gotta go. Amari Stoudemire, guys. Amari, so good to see you.
Amari Stoudemire, old school New York
Oh,
Knicks.
it's incredible. It's incredible. You know, when I
In the
first saw it,
building.
this is what I wanted, but
Shout out to New
obviously
York.
these
Shout out to
guys,
New
you know, did
York.
what they had to do to get the championship.
We got 5
and to be able to
votes,
celebrate with
Chad.
them in the city is amazing.
So great to see you, Amari. What are you going to remember most about this?
Well, it's the moment, right? It's the
We got 10
time
minutes
where
before
New York
JD
is
Vance
excited.
come on.
The team won a championship this year,
rock
and to
and
be a
roll.
part of this group and to celebrate with them in the city
Double tap the screen,
will
double
always be
tap the
a
screen,
memorable
double
moment.
tap the screen.
You got Amari. Thank you.
Dark Sniper,
Thank
when
you,
I double
Amari
tap the screen,
Stoudemire.
what happened?
He brought the Knicks
It'll
back. They
activate
were
the
part of
like
that
button.
54-win team in
That's what it do.
2012-13.
Once you double tap the screen, it'll activate the like button.
Let's see if I can get Steve and
We
Noah
need
out.
more
Here
people
comes
to come
OG. Here
participate.
comes OG.
We need more people to come vote. We need more people to come in and give us their opinion. That's what we need, Chad. Make sure you double tap that screen, and then please do us a favor and go vote. Your opinion matters. Is Trump deal worse than Obama deal? Close. Out of 5 votes, it's a 40-60 split. 40-60 split on the vote. Please don't vote because you don't like Obama, because you like Trump, whatever. Vote because you really know some kind of idea of what the 2 plans are.
All right, we got Mike Breed
You know,
over here. Oh, it is
Go
crowded.
off of the receipts, not off feelings and emotions.
See who
Please.
else we can get. Now it is really filled in.
You gotta be honest.
Oh, here comes Mike Brown. We'll try to get him.
You gotta be honest, Chad.
Let's see if we can get Coach. We're going to try to get Coach Brown over here.
You got 9 likes. Thank you for the like button. Right now, we're taking a break. We're watching the parade in New York until JD Vance come on. Got 7 votes now. That money she had in
Well,
her
we had a
hand?
nice little moment
Oh,
there
not
with
at the
Coach
phone,
Brown
I'm sure.
singing Who Let the Dogs Out here with these fans.
Chad,
That's a
I
pretty
thought
cool
that was
moment,
some
right?
money that lady had in her hand. I was about to say, what? But it was her phone.
Let's get a Who Let the Dogs Out again? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Mike Brown famously singing that, of course, as they receive the trophy there in San Antonio after winning. So I'm going to tell you the truth. I think that was it. I think we saw everybody. Now we're seeing more police officers come down this way as they set everybody up on their floats. Wow, that was just so neat to see everyone come down. It's like the canyon before the canyon and before the actual parade takes place. So we know that Ben Stiller's with the group, Carmelo Anthony, we talked to Amari Stoudemire, we got to talk to OG Anunoby, and it's just such a great atmosphere to see everyone interacting with the fans and just receiving all of this praise that they so deserve. So I guess I'll send it back to you, Rosanna, as we throw it around the rest of the... Okay, hold on. We're going to send it out to Linda Schmidt. She is on the parade route. Linda, who do you have over there? We've had a great experience here with some of the players.
Hey, Tina, my God, you have the best seat in the house today, lady. You've got everybody and anybody out there. We are standing. If you look over my shoulder, you can see we are with thousands and thousands of fans. We're about a block from City Hall. The ceremony
comes on, and I'm gonna ask that same question.
You know, at the end of the parade,
Trump deal worse than Obama? We're gonna wait. We're gonna react to what JD Vance.
They've been waiting. They've been patiently waiting. And I want you to go ahead, take a look. Let's go ahead and push into the Wemby head. I love this. They're chanting, "Let's go Knicks, let's go Knicks." I love the Wemby head. Oh my God, and it's right next to Brunson, just smiling. MVP of the series. Meanwhile, Wemby, I don't know what he's doing now. Playing golf, I don't know what he's doing. Vacation, but he's not at a parade, that's for sure. All right, the folks here are having a really good time. What I do need to let you know is that we are locked in the press pen now. We were allowed to walk in this area here up until 10 o'clock, and then once the parade started at 10, now we're locked in. So I'm not going to be able to have the access to these fans to be able to talk with them. But let me tell you this, so many of these folks coming in from Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, they were on trains at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning so that they could get time and be able to have a great vantage point. But I'm actually sitting on one of the barricades, so I'm going to hop down. And Jimmy, let's show the opposite side here of Broadway. Because you can see tens of thousands of fans lining Broadway. I mean, just anxiously waiting for those floats to make their way up here. And you have everybody here from the age of like 6 years old all the way up to 90. People have just been waiting so long for the New York Knicks to have it, and now they finally have it, and they are
38%.
All right, so we're listening in live to this coverage. More Fox 5 New York team, the Knicks Parade of Champions underway there in New York City.
We got 8 votes, 62% say yes, 38% say no. Appreciate y'all participating in the vote. But I think I'm ending right here, chat, because we're waiting on JD Vance to come talk about the Iran conflict. Let's see. Yeah, that's what we're waiting on. We're waiting on this right now. So I think I'm going to get off right now, do a couple of things, but then come back soon as he come up and start speaking. So as of right now, I'm going to end the poll. Where are we at? Over here. Thank y'all for participating. We got 8 votes. Is Trump deal worse than Obama deal? 62% say yes, 38% says no. And in my opinion, my personal opinion, this is my opinion, I think it's worse than the Obama deal. Why, Stock Sniper? Because both deals gave basically reparations to Iran. But the thing is, the money is not taxpayer money. Both deals, the money that they gave were Iran money. It was Iranian money. It was the money that
will you just re-up this?
Is frozen, right? But the thing is, Obama gave money, Trump gave money. Obama gave money with no war. Trump gave money with war. So, and basically Iran just agreed to the same thing. We will not make a nuclear weapon. We will not make a nuclear weapon. You know, it's basically the same thing, but on my end, the thing is that we went through war. People are struggling in America because of this deal, you know. And to be honest with you, like I've been saying months ago, the only people that really, the stock traders, the investors, the people that trade stocks, won because of this deal, because of this wealth transfer. We got 10 votes now, 11 votes, 60-40, back to 10, 11. Somebody's playing with the votes. Keep your vote the way it is. You know, I'm gonna end the poll right here though, because we got 11. The goal was to get 10, but we got 11. 55% says yes. The Trump deal is worse than the Obama deal. 45% says no. In my opinion,
Hi, is anybody there?
What we know about the deal so far is worse. It's worse. In my opinion. That's my opinion. It's worse because it's the same deal, except for we went to war. It's the same thing. And Trump is giving Iran more money. Even though it is Iran's money, we got to understand this.
Hi, yes,
that
I
the
can.
money
You see me
that
looking at
Obama gave Iran, and also the money that Trump is giving Iran, it is Iran's money. Well, how is it Iran's money, Stock Sniper? Okay. A previous president froze Iran's assets, right? So for many, many decades, Iran's assets have been frozen. Iran's American assets have been frozen, right? So we got to understand that. It is not taxpayer money, chat. It is not
look, we know that the Vice President has been the face of this deal, of this memorandum of understanding. So that's what we expect today's briefing to be about. And there are still a number of questions. One in particular,
probably since a lot of us been alive.
The period has actually begun. If you listen to
we got to understand that.
Iran, they say that it started last night.
So I'm gonna end it right here, chat. We got 16 votes. Is Trump deal worse than Obama deal?
Why that is critical? Because there are several things.
62% says yes.
When that 60-day
38% says
starts.
no.
That includes waivers for oil for Iran clearing the Strait of any
so appreciate y'all for voting.
Those obstacles
we got over the goal to get 10.
And the United States removing their naval blockade
got
of the Strait, none of which we understand to start
yet,
unless we're going to hear it here today.
Well.
The other part of this is what exactly
Trump
is
deal,
going to be doing on the ground.
As we know it right now,
one of the things that we had been told
is
was part of an official signing ceremony. However,
so I'm in the poll right now. If you have not voted,
the document has
please
already
go
been
vote.
signed. We reported that last night that Trump signed it, the president of Iran has signed it. So what is Vance doing?
We can get to 20.
Negotiations,
it'd be
or is there
really
also
great.
going to be
Appreciate
some
everybody
kind
for
of
voting.
signing ceremony when he gets on the ground there? We'll expect him to lay that out. But we also have other questions. We've heard from U.S. officials on this idea of gentlemen's agreements.
That's how you
those gentlemen's agreements that are not written out in this memorandum of understanding. What is giving the United States confidence that they say they have? And one
that's what's so great. That don't mean you smart and I'm stupid because I got my opinion.
Things we heard President Trump
I know
say,
both
he
deals.
said it jokingly, but
I've
every
read
joke
both
has
deals.
a little truth in it. The idea of, if this doesn't go well,
that's my
he's going to
opinion.
blame J.D. Vance. Does J.D. Vance
Jason,
feel any pressure
tell me
for the fact that he
why
has taken
you don't
on this
agree
role of
with my
head
opinion.
narrator?
That's how you
of
communicate
this
with people. Tell me why you don't agree with my opinion. Jason, express your feelings through communication, bro. Not through talking bad about somebody. Express why you smart and I'm stupid. Express it through words. through the chat. That's how you do that, Jason. We need one more vote. We need one more vote, chat. We need one more vote. The good news is, though, Jason, I'm not going to block you. Why, Stock Sniper? Because this is the freedom of speech channel. You have the freedom of speech. But come on, bro, you got to be able to speak your feelings. You got to be able to speak it through communication, through your words, not nothing like that. You stupid. That don't explain anything. Explain to us why you feel the other way. You got to know how to express through intellect on why you feel like that. I just explained why I felt that the Trump deal is worse than the Obama deal. So your job, Jason, is to turn around and explain why you feel my opinion is uneducated. Right now, Marine Vet, we're talking about, is the Trump deal worse than the Obama deal? That's what we're talking about right now. But I'm about to get ready to end this. Then I'm going to come back when JD Vance comes on and explain to us about this Iran conflict.
I think more likely
maybe coming to an end. What do you believe, Marine Vet? If you're really a veteran of the Marines,
Republicans saying that this was a bad
I need to know what you think, Marine Vet.
They shouldn't have.
What do you think about the Iran? What do you think about the Trump deal? Is it better or worse than Obama?
Just say that there's criticism that this was something that President Trump got himself into, and this deal just gets
got 50-50, bro.
Started.
Is Trump deal worse than Obama deal?
50-50. So it seems likely that Vice President J.D. Vance will come out and address
who gave all these idiotic people phones.
Questions we still have.
Why do you think people are idiots?
This is a better deal.
Express yourself.
In plain text.
Express yourself through.
But we've also heard that criticism from people who are close to
why you disagree,
saying they're not really quite sure.
Instead of just trying to humiliate somebody. That shows the level of intellect that you got, Nicole.
In agreement between all these top officials that any deal
is
better than no deal. We heard President Trump yesterday saying that they were worried about global economic ramifications if the war continued, something we know is very closely in terms of the United States.
That's what it's called.
So all of
it's a 50-50 split, Chad.
for the vice president,
20 votes.
And he's likely to want to get ahead of all of the things
that
we've been hearing, particularly pushback before the United States, before the administration briefs those lawmakers as to what exactly
basically how all my votes go, Chad.
The unspoken
not my votes, our
of
votes.
This deal that we haven't
seen
in
on.
writing.
Let me pause that. But that's basically how all our votes go. Just like this, every time. Hold on, let me get back over here. We got 23 votes in it. Wait, 20 votes, and it's still 50-50. See this right here, chat? That's how the country is basically split down the middle, half and half. We got 20 votes, and it's a deadlock 50-50. Is Trump deal worse than Obama deal? 50%, 10 people say yeah, and 10 people say no. I think it's staying like this for a minute too. We got 10 people in the building. Appreciate y'all for joining us. We got 10 people in the building, a 50-50 vote. Man, it's still 50-50. 20 votes. I got to end it right there. Boom. Perfect. Wait, it changed. Wait. Okay, no. Look at that, chat. Is Trump deal worse than Obama deal? Out of 20 votes, we got a 50-50 split. And guess what, chat? I didn't just end it when it got 50-50. I waited a couple of minutes. Wow. I appreciate y'all participating, chat. But what I'm going to do at this time, I'm going to end this stream and I'm going to come back with another one because JD Vance is about to come up on this White House briefing on this Iran conflict. It's going to be this is probably going to be really, really good, chat, especially with the questions. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel and cut on post notification bells. I appreciate for everybody coming through rocking with us. We got Twitch in the building. We got Kick in the building. We got Rumble in the building. And we got YouTube in the building. Appreciate y'all for coming to rock with me, YouTube. Whatever channel you own, I'm live on 2 channels. I'm live on the Freedom of Speech channel, and I'm live on the Conservative OG channel. So I will be right back, chat. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Subscribe. Cut on the post notification bells. I will be back soon as JD Vance come on. All right, chat. I'm out.